Hello viewers, today we're going to be taking a look at the MPC timing correct. That is the TC you have on your impressive Akai MPC devices. If you have any, maybe the Akai MPC Live, the Live 2, the 1, you have the TC on which the timing correct. If you did not watch our previous video, I will advise you to do so, and that is where we actually explain the sequence. We explain that MPC sequence for you because that will actually help you to understand more how to handle the MPC timing correct properly to know how to lay your beats. So let's go. Last video we talked about the whole sequencer and the equation that happens within the grid view and how you can take proper advantage of that in relation to when you're trying to do, set up your timing correct. But on this episode, we're going to be talking about timing correct in detail. We're going to be explaining it in total. Basically, what happens is most people, when they just go to timing correct, all they want to do is just enable timing correct, select their quantize, and then get out. But there's a lot more you can actually do with that timing correct interface that goes beyond you just setting your timing correct. You're just picking a quantized setting and then get out of that place. You can actually do a lot more, and that's what we're going to be exploring today. As you can see, I've taken the liberty of just loading up one of the trap kits I have that actually comes bundled with MPC. That's the MPC trap kit. That's what we're going to be using. Let me see. Yep, we're good with that. So now let's just dive in right away. Let's go to the grid view. If you click on your grid view, and right here, I think I'm currently working on just 2 bars. Yep, that is 1 to 2. Yep. So, and then we're currently using the timing correct of that 16, quantized level 16. If I press Shift and TC, this loads up. So we're going to be taking a proper look at the type, the event, which is this, and then the swing, which is this. We'll take a closer look at those. I believe if you watch the previous video, I will advise you to go watch it, where we talk about this the sequencer. We basically explain the whole beat, bars, the whole tick, and it talked a little bit about timing correct as well. You understand what all this means, and then the whole triplet and all that. But today we're diving even deeper into the starts. That is the type, the event, the swing, and we also cover some more features within the home page, within this grid view. So right now, let's just dive in right away. But before we do that, let me check my BPM. I think I want it to be 100. If I press and hold on it, it pops up, and then I can basically just delete what is there. And okay, let me just use 95, 0, 0, and then I do it. So I have 95 on it, and let me come back to my grid view, and let's try and see if we can just record what we have there before. Let me see here. Okay, let's select this, and okay, yeah, let's try and record something out there. We'll be able to dive deeper into the timing correct and how it affects everything we're working on. So I hit the record button, then I hit on my device and I hit the play start. Okay. Yeah, that works. That works. Let me see. What else can I add? Let me see. Okay, let me try that. Okay, that works. I'm not gonna use a lot of equipment. Let me just name like 2 or 3. What else can I add? What else can I add? Okay, this could work. Just one. Yeah, and we're good. Yes, we're good. Now, what I need you to do now is let me try and maximize. So you see what we have right now, because we set the timing correct to 16, that's our quantized points, and which means each of the 4 bars each of the 4 beats in each bar will basically have like a quantized point of 444 each. That those divisions, and that basically is where our beats will snap into anytime we're basically hitting the MIDI event. Yes, that works fine, but there's something I need to know and understand here, which is very, very important. Now, let's go back to the timing correct, and I'll show you some of the features that you have there that can actually make your music or give it kind of like it's a more like kind of like a tighter hit, a tighter vibe, or if you will say, it can actually give you some kind of like swing effect. So let's hold the shift and click on the timing correct again. Now, from here, the reason why all of your kicks and everything is snapping to the beginning is because the type is on start, which means it's quantizing it to the beginning of each of those divisions. That's why you have it start. And your event, anything you are currently working on that you have selected, maybe if you select part A1 or part A2, by the time you hit do it here on this timing correct, any setting you might have come here to to change or modify will be effective on any of those grids or on any of those events that you selected. So most of the time, I think we have like 3 options here. All basically means any setting I make here apply to all the events I have right now. Maybe selected events, but if I say range, I'm trying to pick within maybe like from maybe the first bar or the first beat of so tick to maybe like the second bar of the second beat of maybe like 480 tick. That is where I want this thing to be, this new selection or setting I'm doing to be effective. That is what that is about. But mostly we leave it at, let's say all, at least for now, you have an idea. The bottom line is you need to have an idea. You need to understand how this works. If you do, and what each of them does, if you do, it will help you to make your own decision when you're trying to make your beat. We are not the first to jump into teaching you how to make beats. If you've observed, we'll teach you how to use your device. We'll teach you how to use the software so that you can make proper beats by yourself. If there's anything I noticed about producers is they have an idea in their head and they are unable to execute simply because this idea, they do not know how to make use of their tools to achieve that idea. So right now what we're doing is we're teaching you how to make use of the tools. So when you have an idea in your head, you know how to activate and execute that idea with the tool that you have with you. That's basically what we're talking about. Now, as you can see, we're on timing correct. Like I said earlier, we're on timing correct of 16 is start. That's the reason why you have a lot of those points at the starting point. Should we decide to change the timing correct now and I hit do it and I select all events, let me show you that. We are on 16, right? And that's why this is what you are hearing right now, right? Okay, so let me change it to 1-8. It's on start. And put the event to all. Then I select do it. Do you see how the groove just changed? It automatically readjusts and realigns all the beats to a quantize of 8, which is 2/2 per beat in each bar. That's why you have it this way right now. Do you get? So let me just hit undo and go back. Do you get? Now we're back to 160. So let me, okay. Let me go back to TC and put it on 16 and close it. Yeah, so that's where we are right now. Now, stop. Good. As you can see, you hit that and then it affects everything you're doing. It readjusts it and then you're able to like continue with basically what you're doing. But let's take something for example. I want to show you something special here. Right here, right now, you have all your beats and everything. You've laid it down, but you know that this groove you need to have. You don't want it to be too rigid. You want to give it like a little bit of just change some things for me, so it doesn't feel like it's actually just starting from the beginning. Like from the beginning of each of those quantize point because it's kind of like looking too electronic, looking too rigid. I want to add a little bit of swing to it. Funny enough, that is why this timing correct have swing. What this swing does is it has 50 right now. That's why everything is perfect. What it does is if you nudge it, I think the range is between 50 and 75. Yeah, 50 and 75. If you nudge it a little bit, what it does is it gives your event some kind of like rearrangement. And what that does is it helps you to just adjust the starting point of some of the beats of the some of the event actually that you've already set up on your grid view. It actually rearranges them and then it gives your beat a different kind of vibe. So again, do not forget, I like to play it before I apply this so that you will be able to hear the difference before and after. So let's go and play first right now what we have right now. Play. So let me apply the swing. Let me take it to like 65. Then I hit then I hit do it. I don't know if you can hear that, but it's very clear and it's impressive. Now, this is to even know that something has happened. Let me stop this. Let me show you something. To know that something has actually happened, if I maximize or I zoom in on this, you will see this particular bit. Let me select it for you. It's no longer right where it's supposed to be or right where it was before. And there's a lot more like that. You can see, check out this one. It has moved a bit. Now, there is more like that. So can you see this and this? They have moved a little bit from where they used to be. That is what swing does. And it gives it that kind of, that feeling, that vibe. Let me show you. So if you're actually looking at the screen right now, even from what you are seeing right now, you can tell that some of them have actually shifted from where they used to be. I can actually use the undo button to undo them, so it should actually snap back to where it was before. Let me see. Let me undo. Can you see? Snap back to where it was before. But then we want to hear it again. So let me play this one for you. I'll stop it. Then I will redo what we did, and then I'll play it again for you. As you can see, that groove, that swing effect that it adds to it by not letting that beat or those events start at the beginning, the actual beginning of those quantized points is impressive and is awesome. It can actually give your beat a whole different flow, a whole different pattern entirely. And that's what we're talking about. If you try to make use of that particular swing, it's something I use I kind of like once in a while when I realize what, I don't want this beat to just be kind of too mechanical. Let's add some vibe into it. It doesn't, for some people to achieve this, all they need to do is they turn off timing correct and then they do it. They don't quantize, they just play right like that and then they adjust it by themselves. But what we're saying is it is even easier for you when you're trying to do it using your Akai MPC device. By the time you enable your swing and you give it some settings, you can actually try your hands around some settings until you get the perfect one that works well for you, and then you are good to go from there. So now, before we go, there's something I need to show you, which is very, very important. Now, let me maximize this. I need to show you this. It's important that you see. So look at, I'm going to select two events for you, and then I'll make a very quick adjustment. Look at what we have here. That's my kick. One of the, maybe someone be like a shaker or like a hat, closed or something like that. But then that's my kick. Now let me show you something. You see the kick I just we currently have selected right now. If you click on the right in your grid view, you see that gear icon that is on the topmost right corner of your screen. Yes, that gear icon. If you select it and you press on it, and you are going to see that you are, by default, you are mostly going to be, your snap mode will be in absolute. And let me show you what that means. Which means if I try to move this event, if I click on it and I try to move the event, there are two ways I can actually move the event, either to the left or to the right. I can click on it, like I'm doing right now, and move it to the left. You can see it snaps to the next grid. If I move it to the left, you can see it snaps to the grid before it. That's 240. It's on 480 now. Now it's on 720. It snaps to the next grid. But the reason is because it's on absolute. Even this one that we have right there, if I move it right now, let me click on it and move it. If I move it, you can see it goes straight into the next event, into the next grid. But that might disrupt the flow of what I'm currently working on, because where I moved it from is not in the middle. It's not at the beginning rather of that grid. It's at the middle. So if I'm supposed to move it, I'm supposed to be able to move it to the same spot on the next quantize note or quantize division, not at the beginning of the quantize. So let me undo that move. You can see when I undo it, it went back to where it was before, and that's the power of the swing. That's where the swing kept it. But for me to be able to get that exact same spot in the next quantize division, what I need to do is come to my that gear icon, which is the setting for this grid view, change my snap mode from absolute to relative. Then by the time I close it, if I move this now, like I told you earlier, there are two ways you can move it. You can hold on it and drag it, or you're already on nudge. You can just turn your knob, the big knob. You can turn it left or right. Did you see what happened right now? When I move it now to the next quantize point, instead of it to start at the beginning, it moves to the relative point where it's supposed to be in the next quantize division. So it's not snapping to the beginning of the bit. It's basically just working its way to the next quantize spot. And that is what relative does for you. So absolute will just snap it to the beginning of the next time division. But then the relative will make sure if you play anything and you play maybe like you're not basically you kind of adding some accidentals, it is not like on the beat per se, you can actually use your relative to move it, and it will definitely work pretty well, and you'll still be able to keep your groove. Another thing I need to show you, yeah, I think that works. I believe you should be able to use that more often. If you go back to your timing correct, like I said, okay, I showed you what start is. So we're going to be talking about the end. End basically means here the type. When you set it up to end, what it's trying to do is you're saying quantize, the ending of my event as well. Snap it to the end of the quantize node. So that way you might notice some difference or some changes in the length of what you're working on. It might just extend it to the end of that quantize node. Let me try and see what I can do with that. Okay, let me select this kick now that I selected. As you can see, it's not towards the end, but if I hold timing correct, shift and press on timing correct, and I say I want it to happen to the end, let me take the swing back to 50 for this. The event is the one I select currently, and by the time I say do it, look at what happens. It will actually stretch it to the end of that quantize node, occupying the entire frame. So that's what end does. It basically just also work on the end part of your event. So if you really want to keep maybe the same length on your MIDI event and you are finding it difficult to keep the same length, if you select the event, you can basically just go to your timing correct and quantize it also by selecting end. It will basically just allow it to give every one of them the same length. So mostly by default, what you see here is start, and I think that should be all. So let me undo that. You see, it goes back to where it used to be. Like I told you in the previous lesson, the previous tutorial, this might just be about, okay, if you're working with kicks and all that, but you need to be mindful of your length. If you're working with instruments such as maybe like your piano or things like that, because it will go the entire length. Those ones, as long as the length is there, it keeps playing. But kick, no matter how long your kick is, most of the time usually the first event that strikes and the rest are ignored. I think that should be all for now. Don't forget, if you find this interesting, like, subscribe, and share. Then you know what? Also try to let other people know about basically what is happening here. We go deeper. We take you through what you need to know about the device that you're using to produce, and that will help you to become a better producer. If you have an idea in your brain, you'll be able to execute and implement them when you know how to use your device. It's not just all about jumping into how to make a beat, but by the time you're coming here to make a beat, you actually know some things that will make your work a lot easier for you. And that's what we're about here.
So there you have it. I believe by now you should be able to make better decisions now in terms of, managing your sequence, those grids, and now you understand what the grids and the bars and the beat and the ticks means and how to place your beat correctly using the timing correct. That is basically what we're talking about here. Don't forget, if you've not seen the previous video, you need to do that. Like, subscribe, share, and you know what? We'll see you in the next one.